This is the Segovia Show.
What's going on, everyone? Greetings, whoever you are, wherever you are. This is going out to those of you on locals. Shout out to locals first. Rumble, of course. And, oh man, hold on. It's supposed to run off Ethernet, not Wi-Fi. Just a moment. And hopefully no signal interruptions. Okay. And this is also going over to you guys on YouTube. Welcome, LinkedIn. It's not every day I get to stream to you guys, but I'm streaming there too. Substack followers, X, DLive. I don't think Gangjing World this time. So sorry, Gangjing. There might be one more, but the other platform I don't give you a shout out. Just know that I appreciate wherever it is that you're watching. This is not the stream that I had planned to do. At least not yet, because I'm going to be doing a live Q&A as I finish setting up this guy, the Brax3 device. But I got tipped off and there were some rumblings about what might transpire. It's just that it got moved up way ahead of schedule. And that's with respects to massive news about the Unplugged phone. So I needed to make time for it today. And I figured this is like, it's really fresh news and I need to get my reactions out there because at first glance, it's like, dude, that's exactly what I expected them to do. And it looks like that's what they did, or at least they are doing. So we're going to get into that here in a moment. I'm giving a little more time for the rest of the stream to connect, just making sure that we're all good here. I'm streaming to about 9 places simultaneously. So I just want to make sure that they're. So shout out to you guys over on Twitch as well. And before I get any deeper into anything that I do, speaking of technology, I have been, social media is annoying. I have been across many different social media platforms entirely. You guys know this because, well, those of you that have been following me long enough, the reason I'm transmitting to so many different video platforms is the very reason why I'm on so many social media platforms, because the censorship, the throttling, and quite honestly, people have scattered to the wind. And while there are some individuals that found homes in certain places and certain platforms, there was like a remigration that came over to X after Elon and his support of Trump and all that. But I have maintained my position since the very beginning. Before Elon, Twitter was a cesspool. Now, as X, it still is a cesspool. It's just that it's almost different opinions, almost sound like different opinions, but it's just as inconvenient. It's not a platform issue, it's a people issue, because you can find inconveniences and annoyances just about anywhere. That's why pretty much across as many places I can be, because I don't know who's going to end up picking up my show. I didn't expect to be picked up by Gangjing World the way I have. I didn't expect to be making a home at Play TV or from Parlor and things like that. But so I have, but I'm still on YouTube, my biggest audience, and it keeps growing. Thank you very much, because I kind of change them into or treat them like back in the day, there used to be chat rooms, and that's kind of what it feels like right now. These feel like chat rooms because you'll find different persuasions of political thought, or even philosophical thought, or even cultural thoughts, depending on where you find yourself in these places. But generally speaking, a lot of people just like to, they just want to remember what it was like to have fun on social media, just to post stuff about life and engage in those kind of things instead of everything having to be about politics. So I seen what's happened there, but I also understand a need for like some of us to remain active on some of these platforms despite all the crap that's going on. Because once again, a lot of people on the right are infighting over these past few days. Particularly yesterday was boiling over some of their favorite right-wing influencer, either a Fed or not a Fed. Maybe they are, they're bought out, whatever. I don't care. I just don't. But people get caught up on all this, thinking that they're chiming in with their opinion or whatever, don't realize that they're being a part of this whole engagement farming, rage baiting, and all that stuff. It's stupid. I hate it. And truth be told, look, there's a lot more so-called free speech over on X. Now you don't get the reach with it because there's still a lot of shadow banning going on, and unless you're favored within the system, you don't really get the boosts. So what you actually see is in parts is a way programmed to be at you and try to suck you into that world, which is why some people lay off X, because they're just tired of it. But it's not just that though. I have to call it out. I have a soft spot in my heart for Parler, but Parler has been running into a lot of issues. Let me rephrase that. They've kept the same issues, technically speaking. And after a lot of time has gone by, a lot of the OG Parler members have been voicing their disdain over a lot of these bugs that have not been addressed over the past week. But we get pushed a lot of this cryptocurrency stuff. And it is disappointing because we know we've been patient. The Parler folks have been the most patient of all, having to go through 3 remakes pretty much. Parler 1.0 was taken down, brought back, not the same. Then Parler 2.0 was just, my goodness, the ultimate patience test. Now Parler 3.0, you were expected to rebuild. But how long is the rebuild? And when the same issues that are still prevalent since very early on have not been addressed, it's and new features that we were long since awaited that should have been standard are not yet implemented. It makes us really it some people are reaching their end. Basically, they're done waiting. They've been really expressing their grievances, and when you start losing the old folk, it doesn't bode well for the new folk that are joining Parler. And I want that platform to be sustainable. I want it to be growing and things like that. So it's along those lines that I normally don't like playing favorites because I'm across as many platforms as possible. But I do want to give a shout out. And some of you over on Rumble might have seen ads for a social media site called PickAx. The thing about this though, and this is not a paid plugin by the way, I'm just giving a shout out to a place that has allowed me to also be able to express myself and given me, they promoted me as well. So help me help you kind of thing. Let me actually, no, I'll keep this back on for now. But let me just do it this way. Maybe like this. There we go. That's better. Okay, so PickAx, they're still in pre-launch. An app has been in development and it is coming. It's been pushed off a little bit, but this is not like, is it another social media site? This is more for creators, honestly. So if you're in the creator space, this is probably the place you'll probably prefer. There's a lot of Substack-like experiences here, articles, being able to post, but there's a deep Rumble integration too. So when there's a deep Rumble integration, like for example, me going live today, I didn't have to create that post over on PickAx. They created it for me, and you can play the stream directly on PickAx. So that's really cool. And I like that because normally I have to signal blast my Rumble post as opposed to using if this then that for my YouTube, and that does it for all my other platforms where there's integration involved. But when it comes to PickAx, again, this is like pre-launch right now. There's a lot of Rumble creators that have joined up, especially because there's been a big push. And shout out to fellow Rumble streamers out there. Uncle Pudge being one of them, probably one of the biggest voices there right now at PickAx, and also Soundboard Lord that recently joined. Good to see you there, Casey. And let's see, there were a few others, but there's definitely a lot more that are coming here, and it's not that it's how to the best way I can explain it is a LinkedIn, Substack, and no shadow ban, no algorithm, no AI, because Jeff Dornick, he's the CEO of PickAx. He's been on my show before, and I might bring him back on to talk about AI stuff. He just really is adamant against AI. So it's just another one that's out there. So if you're fed up with everything else that's been out there, but you still want to keep some kind of social thing, this would be the place. Of course, depending on what you find and who you follow. This at first was to me a lot of news. There was a lot of news journalists, independent journalists, agencies, and independent streamers were here. And now there's an influx of gamers that have come on. So there's a growing gamer community. But if you're a creator, there's creator tools here you're going to want to be able to access before the gauntlet comes down or the gate closes, and then there's going to be more strict requirements for you to be able to become one. So shout out to Jeff and everyone over at PickAx. We're excited for the official launch, and yeah, just looking forward to see what else is out there. It's just that this proves what has been happening on X recently, what's constantly happening with Parler. It just proves that there's still room for another competitor in the space, because one size does not fit all, and that's why yours truly is across just about everything. Okay, and it looks like several others have tuned in now, so thank you very much. I needed to vent a little with respects to what's been happening on social media, but now that y'all are here, I could talk to you guys about it. I did have a Brax3 update, so let me just go through this real quick, because I'm going to be spending the rest of the stream talking about the Unplugged phone. This is a massive update, and it's kind of what some of us have been waiting for, and it's here. Well, at least it's going to be here soon. But with respect to the Brax3 device, I am aware of individuals over at the Brax community. I've been getting a lot of feedback. Some are starting to flow through over on YouTube, but most of it's been coming from social media platforms such as Blue Sky. So anybody follow me on Blue Sky, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I am looking into it. You actually convinced me to get back onto Brax.me. So this is the Brax.me community, and there's also a GitLab community for IoT OS and things like that, getting Android Auto set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a live stream setting up this device, because I've been so busy. I have not been able to do more than just pretty much what I did for the unboxing. If anything, my daughter's been using this phone more than I have, and she's been customizing it to her likes. I'm like, hey, I still got to review this thing. So let me tinker with this first before you start putting your personal touches on it. And I took it back from her. So I am seeing a lot of feedback, some things that people are concerns that are raising with the device. So I'm gonna be taking that to account, and I'll be looking for that as I do my my videos and my streams and ultimately my review. But I also want to explain to folks what this is not. So let me close this now. What this is not. Some people are expecting an out-of-the-box experience. That's why I did what I did with Unplugged, because that's not the case. Dude, seriously, yard work now? Oh, it's Tuesday. Sorry. Forgive me, you might hear some extreme noises in the background. It's starting to flow through. But anyway, in the case of Unplugged, that's why I did what I did, because I expected there was so much interest for the Unplugged phone that there's going to be a lot of people that are not technically savvy with devices. They're just so used to just plug and play, and they go get the device, and the first thing they're going to do is like, what the flip do I do here? Everything I'm looking for is not there. And that's why, in effect, I was pretty much the go-to tech support for Unplugged. That was not by design. That was because you asked, and I had the phone, and I was happy to help. And I think that's why I struck a good rapport with Unplugged. Dude, I feel like I'm raising my voice a lot more. This is going to be such an entertaining stream. I might rant. It reminds me of, if anybody who was a fan of the Craig Ferguson, the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, it's, if you might recall the one where there was a raining and it was leaking into the studio, and he spent most of it just ranting about the leak. I tried to do that, but I do want to mention with respect to Brax3 because there's been some people that have been just absolutely scorching the device. I believe that's unfair because again, this is not one of those plug and play right out of the box experiences. It's as much as it can be, but it's not that yet. And I'm going to take that into account for my review. But there's some of you that are just like, you're like the Jason Bournes of the world. But instead of working with the intel agencies, you're trying to hide from the intel agencies. So you guys have like this deep stuff to try to be completely untraceable, untrackable. And that's where some of you have been running into those issues. I am not doing that because I cannot go that in depth. So I will not be, and I'll make that mention when I do the stream. I was planning the stream for Thursday, so I still might do that. And these guys won't be doing the yard thing. That's why I don't really stream on Tuesdays, at least not this early. Anyway, that's all I have to say for the Brax3 device. So let me get to the unplugged phone, then I'll close it out with my Pixel 10 look ahead. All right, so let's do this part. Yeah, I'll do it like this. Okay, so let me share the news article. Share this tab instead. Okay, and add to the stage. All right, there we are. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna use this. Normally I don't use this background, but I'm gonna do that for the stream because why not? Okay, so for those of you that follow me on social media, you would have seen me posting the teases and the changes. What tipped me off that this might actually be sooner rather than later, because I was informed that this was coming. They just wouldn't give me the details, and I didn't have to. They realized I'm really good at reading between the lines. But I guess I have to raise this back up. So let me show you this. So because I took it out, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start comparing these guys. But here, there was an update pushed out through the Unplugged store, and I was gonna do an entire walkthrough of this new variation, the new walkthrough, like the new Unplugged store, because it's entirely new experience and things like that. And I'm like, man, I just need to make time to film this. So then I saw this update for the support app, and this entire folder is just the Unplugged apps, the suite of apps. So when this update pushed through and it gave me a new icon, I'm like, well, that's strange. Why would you throw off the entire loop? Then I'm like, wait a minute. Because I saw them focusing on design and like aesthetics on some of the other applications. Because if you actually see my older videos, these apps have been really given a new splash of paint and layout. But the Unplugged store has been like the most radically transformed, along with the privacy app, which is the claim to fame. This is just absolutely awesome. But then when I saw this come through, this orange color, I'm like, okay, that is strange. Are you guys going to go with a whole new direction for your logo? Are you going to rebrand yourself in a way? Because what originally was going to be the new shipments of Unplugged phones was set for July, and then they got pushed back to September. When it was July, I'm like, okay, you guys ran out of phones. You guys are waiting for a new shipment. There's probably tariffs into play and maybe some resources thing that's probably making a delay, and you guys are going to ship in July. But as soon as they pushed this to September, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's not that anymore. You guys are up to something. And then when I saw that, so last night I was literally showing my wife, and she's like, can I see their website? So I pulled up their website on this phone, and let's see if it still shows there. So this was I was showing her last night. And it was like a big splash of coming soon. Like, okay, so there's something afoot here, and it's the old website, but they had like this big old thing. Hey, sign up for updates. I'm like, yeah, I'm signed up, so I'm gonna be waiting for those updates. But I'm like, okay, you guys are announcing there's a big update coming. You guys are planning to relaunch the phone or make them available again to start shipping in September. You can still order now as a pre-order. And I saw this updated color with their logo, at least for one of them. Maybe someone accidentally hit update a little too soon. And as soon as I saw that, I told my wife, they're going to rebrand. And that's exactly what they did. So this is the new Unplugged, not just Unplugged phone. This is actually what I've seen immediately, because Iran Karpin, the CTO, sent me this link to their blog post for their announcements. That's kind of what he was kind of winking and nodding towards. So then I'm like, don't worry, you don't have to tell me. I'm not asking for it. I told him I just sent questions because a lot of you had questions, and I sent the questions, and they couldn't answer it per se. And this explains why they couldn't get back to me immediately, because this is huge. This is a massive update. We're going to walk through some of this. This is a very long post, so I'm going to try to scroll through as much of it as possible. But if at first glance, if you look at it, we're talking about it's not just a new splash of paint on the device, because the old device it looked kind of like a navy blue with a matte back that shimmered in the sun and was very it resisted fingerprints very well. The team over at Unplugged had toyed around with the idea of doing a transparent back, and they said as much on my show because I've interviewed them before. And there's some of you that are just discovering Unplugged that are checking out my old videos. Thank you very much for that. I have interviewed the then CEO of Unplugged, Ryan Patterson. I didn't say anything to any of you. He actually did move on. He became more of an advisory role, so no longer the CEO. But Iran Karpin is still the CTO and the chief technology officer. And I had him along with the chief operating officer, Leron Stein, over on my show, and we're talking about the next iteration of the Unplugged phone, or at least a different look and feel. This is a little more involved than that. So let's look at it. This looks like a shadow black, or just a black backing. I didn't immediately see any logo, but the front screen with the color template was already tipping me off that this is the rebrand. Interestingly, they actually superimposed it as T-Mobile. And look, they labeled this July 4th, Independence Day. The shipments were supposed to be in July, and they pushed back. So it's interesting. So here, Unplugged today from Las Vegas announced, because that's where they do the shipping. Today announced a major update to its privacy-first smartphone, UP phone, or Unplugged phone, alongside the official appointment of Joel Whale as CEO. Whale, I hope I'm saying that right, by the way, or is it Whale? Whatever. Whale, who led special projects for Apple services, was brought on earlier this year to lead the relaunch, restructure operations, and drive long-term growth. More people are concerned about their smartphones than ever before. Instead of protecting our privacy, devices are subsidized by selling access to our private information. And while our phones give us access to so much of the world, they can also be used to filter and limit what we see. That's exactly what I just said. This is what the new CEO of Unplugged just said. But that's what I was talking about before we even got going on the tech stuff, right? I was talking about social media and all that. So Unplugged phone breaking the cycle of data exploitation. Yes, so that we know about the firewall. This is a very long news post. I'm going to be leaving a link. You can read it on your own time, but for the sake to respect your time, my time, and to be efficient, we're talking about some of the core features. And I think this is the first thing they're really emphasizing, the firewall. There's an actual study that we're going to go through here in a moment that I want to share with you with respects to how well the Unplugged phone held up with its firewall against tracking compared to the Apple 16 Pro and a Samsung S25. This is the test that I've been waiting for them to publish, or at least for it to be published, the results. I've known about this test, and this is finally the first time I'll be able to see it with you. I haven't seen it. We're going to watch it together, or at least go through it together. But the firewall, and I'm looking at the chats here, but so the firewall at the core of the Unplugged phone is a powerful on-device firewall. More than just software, it's the foundational security infrastructure that enables Unplugged phone's privacy system across the OS and apps. The firewall blocks third-party tracking and data harvesting attempts and exposes the apps behind them so customers can see their privacy protections in action. So this is the new look. By the way, I can definitely say there's a lot of Apple influence here. So if this guy ran some Apple services, I can see the Apple Health inspired stuff here, but on a digital sense. So this is the on-device firewall blocking third-party tracking, stops data harvesting. I like that. And reveals the apps behind it. So that's always a good thing, because some of you might have recalled that I was complaining I was raising concerns with my Galaxy Z Fold 7 that I have here. In my last stream, I talked about that I've been having overheating issues. Even though it looked like I had closed the apps, there was something that was happening that was making my phone really hot. I've had to take it off my pocket a few times. And this being a 7, I'm like, the last time there was a 7, the Galaxy Note 7, that one exploded. So like, I hope this isn't the same thing. It's supposed to be lucky number 7. So what it turned out to be, there was I have an authenticator app. I didn't even really set it up, but it was running in the background apparently, even though I closed all the apps, but because I removed the restrictions on battery optimization, it was leaching battery for no reason when I didn't really set it up. So those kind of things, that's why these apps matter. You want monitoring services, and it was the battery monitoring service of the Galaxy device that said, "Hey, maybe you should put this app to deep sleep," and I did. And believe me, that's actually helped out a ton. I still have some warming issues, but I'm going to be keeping a closer eye on it. Okay, so the UP phone's operating system, Unplugged OS, so it's no longer LibreOS. It's called Unplugged OS. It's purpose-built for privacy, functioning independently from big tech ecosystems to eliminate surveillance and data harvesting at the source. UP phone leverages open source Android without Google Mobile Services, GMS, preventing backdoor data collection and restoring customer autonomy. So this is the big one. I guess they published the results here. Independent test reveals Unplugged phone's clear privacy advantage. In tests conducted by cybersecurity firm, is it Raxus? Let me see. Let me open that one up. Yeah, they are so let me share this. This is what I'm looking at. So this is an AI augmented penetrating testing. Why risk a breach? In the 2025 Verizon data breach investigators report reveals critical gaps in fully AI-driven penetration testing. So, so this is the company that did the testing apparently, and let's see. Let's go back to the post we were reading. And I really feel this guy's getting louder and louder, but I don't think it's coming through here. What's going on? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. For those of you on locals, it just timed out. I know it can only go 30 minutes. I hope you guys jumped over to Rumble. I missed the timer right there because I did the countdown stream. That was about 5 minutes right there. So my apologies, but hopefully you guys jumped over to Rumble. If not, you're probably watching from Rumble, but I appreciate you guys tuning in anyway. Okay. So let's proceed on with this post. So the results: the Unplugged phone outperformed Apple's iPhone 16 Pro and Samsung's Galaxy S25 in blocking third-party data harvesting connections and data transmissions. Within a 1-hour testing window, Raxus, is that it? Monitored data activity from all 3 phones in their standard factory configuration while engaging with 33 widely used apps like Snapchat, Expedia, Spotify, Pinterest, the Weather Channel, and Nike. The test revealed that iPhone performed 3,181 DNS requests to third-party tracking domains and sent and received a total of 210,748 data packets to the trackers during testing, even with Ask App to Not Track selected. Ooh, man. Meanwhile, the Samsung Galaxy performed 1,368 DNS requests to third-party tracking domains and sent and received a total of 171,467 data packets to the trackers during testing. Hold on. Let me pause that right there. So iPhone did more than double the DNS requests to third-party trackers and sent 211, rounding up, 1,000 data packets. Meanwhile, less than half of those DNS requests on Galaxy, but 172,000 data packets, that number doesn't make any sense either. Galaxy, why'd you send so much more for fewer requests? So that's how much data is being transmitted, folks. So for the Unplugged phone, no evidence in packet captures of DNS lookups or data packets sent or received from third-party tracking sites during testing. So that's what that company is claiming. And this is the test by Raxi is what they're the results, and Unplugged just didn't. That should be a good thing, right? Let's proceed on. Fine-tune privacy controls. This is a new dashboard that they have. And it's giving you the dashboard displays stats and settings at a glance, allowing customers to adjust features, monitor firewall and VPN status, check the phone's last unlock time, and track screen time, all through intuitive controls designed for quick, effortless access. Again, I could see the Apple-inspired themes here. So the privacy app, we know about the firewall activity. With time away, customers can see. Oh, I like this. With time away, customers can see if there's been unauthorized access and exactly when their phone was last unlocked, helping them keep their personal data securely in their control. And streamlined controls allow customers to block intrusive ads, malware. Yes, that's already been in the privacy app that they're, of course, rebranded. The UP phone provides fast and secure ways to access and protect data. Lost mode erases all data after a user-defined period if a device is lost or stolen, helping to secure personal information. It restarts the device in protected mode, which is designed to enhance security against physical extraction tools compared to the standard lock standby state. Nice. With emergency reset, device can be wiped from Unplugged using a designated unlock code, ensuring personal information never falls into the wrong hands. So you guys relabeled it from self-destruct. So now it's going to be called emergency reset. Yeah, because self-destruct coming on the heels of that Mossad beeper thing. That's why I told the guys, like, hey guys, I'm testing this thing, but is it gonna do what happened over there? Because they were based in Israel. The company's based in Israel, so that's why it was funny. But no, it didn't explode. I still have it right here. But can it still? I'm just kidding. But still, a schedule reboot. I like this part. That you can schedule a reboot, especially it's good for health on the phone, to at least reboot the phone at least once a week. So that also helps because it helps clear the cache data and eliminate potential malware and boost privacy, security, and performance, etc. Performance being the biggest tool. The built-in no logs VPN running in the background hides the IP address. So a lot of these, as I'm going through them, are services, and these are services that are offered by Unplugged. So those, I think there's still this. I think they mentioned it here, so we'll see. I think it's the same price. Excuse me, I kind of coughed there. Okay. Oh, I love the battery disconnect switch, and I'm going to show you what they did to it for this new look on the phone. They have an encrypted cloud storage, which makes it easy to move a photo library, favorites, and even named faces over to the Unplugged platform. Okay. For customers who don't want to use the cloud, Unplugged phone supports an SD card so customers can store photos and files locally up to 1 terabyte. Okay, so they're not telling you have to use their cloud service. They're telling you they got one now. And here's the funny part. People that first had it, had the Unplugged phone, complained that there was no way to back things up. But now that they have one available, I know for a fact some of them are going to say, well, I'm not going to upload it to them. It's like, well, do you want it or not is the question. So there it is. So they now have a cloud storage. I wonder if they partner with Proton for that. So anyway, Brave is the privacy browser. We know about that. And this is interesting. The all-new experience, which screams iPhone, by the way. You can customize this to whatever you want. You don't have to use the interface, but I'm just saying they are now doing an out-of-the-box experience, and it looks familiar, especially for anybody moving from an iPhone landing here. This is smart. This is the smart thing to do, especially when it's the Apple users that had it the hardest to leave Apple. There's this meme. If I find it, I'm gonna look for it now. Apple meme face hugger. Tech. I found it. This might look a little too graphic for some of you, but I think it's worth sharing. Are you guys familiar with the Alien franchise? And for those of you that are, you might know about the facehuggers. I don't really care about the whole Alien franchise anymore. I think it's gone stupid. Thank you, really, Scott. You made and destroyed it. Okay, this. And I'm glad they chose an iPhone. So it's a facehugger. It's the hardest one to let go, an Apple device, because as soon as you let go, your entire network that you build on it, because of the Apple services, like iTunes, iMusic, whatever, your FaceTiming, your iCloud, it's all there, and it's like a cult. Like you start to miss it, you need it, and you have to come back to the closed ecosystem, and you forget why you left in the first place. It makes it so inconvenient to leave. So this redesigned interface with fresh icons and smarter navigation and streamlined setup, key point there, is very much in line with what an iPhone stacked would look like for a homepage. And again, I said I'm okay with that because it'll help visually speaking, psychologically speaking. It'll help an Apple user make the move. An Android user knows, hey, I can change that, and I will. Okay, the new App Center. The App Center is uncensored, unbiased, and untracked, giving customers the freedom to access apps they want. So it's no longer called the Unplugged store. It's called the App Center. That's cool. I like this direction they've gone with. My wife last night, because I told you we were looking at the Unplugged stuff that I was speculating on the Unplugged phone. She's like, I really like the screen. So they're not exaggerating when they say the Unplugged phone's striking 6.67-inch AMOLED display brings every detail to life in rich, vivid color and crisp definition. And yeah, for the device, which it's nearly $1,000, it has to be a good display. I was pleasantly pleased to see that I could see some of the screen detail while I was out in bright sunlight. Because that normally is a way that washes things out. So here is where some of the specifications do change, okay? So this is powered by an octa-core MediaTek 1200 processor with 8 gigabytes of RAM. An Unplugged phone delivers fast, efficient performance. Yes, I can attest to that. But here's where the camera setup seems to have changed. The powerful rare triple camera system, vivid images with 108 megapixel high resolution, high lens. I believe that's the one that this one has. I think it was 108. So it's about the same, but they made some tweaks. Resolution main lens, an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 5 megapixel macro lens, and a 13 megapixel front facing camera for selfies and video calls, all supported by software settings that help optimize focal length, lighting, and color. So that's telling you that they have a photo app now, and they might be putting in what is called computational photography. So we'll see to that. And they're committed to open source for transparency and trust. So Unplug is building a transparent open source Android security solution. The firewall is currently available as open source, with more projects to follow, allowing developers and security professionals to freely audit and verify Unplugged phones' security. And here's the big one, folks, because a lot of you were like, I don't want that Chinese phone. And I'm like, well, technically it's built in India. It's like, well, yeah, but I don't want it in India. Well, guess what? Made in America. Unplugged also announced plans for US-based manufacturing later this year, creating jobs domestically, improving quality control, and reducing dependence on foreign supply chains. I said the same thing about what this Trump mobile business is, because their first launch is not an American device. They were flat out lying about that. But their intent to have it made here, which someone else said later after the announcement, makes sense. You don't start by telling people made in the USA when it's not, because that's a false advertising. You should have said we are relying on foreign supply chains, but we're trying to bring that stuff home. That's what should have been better. They didn't do that, and that's why they had to clarify things that designed in the USA kind of thing. Here you have a situation where they're moving they're creating the facilities here, because that means we'll have access to chipsets here. And looking forward to Taiwan Semiconductor Company and what they're doing out there in Phoenix, I think, in Arizona, hopefully to be able to keep up with it. But this is an awesome move. It's going to be US based, but that also means you won't see a cheaper Unplugged phone. So here at the bottom in fine print, the Unplugged phone is available for $989, so it's still the same price. For the new experience, it'll still be $989. But check this out, and on BestBuy.com. Well, now, so it's not just through their website. It'll be available on BestBuy.com, including an in-store pickup option. Shipping starts in mid-September. This is an awesome move, Unplugged. And I saw this coming. I literally had this conversation not even 18 hours ago with my wife, because I've already speculated as much as I could on my streams. I make a habit of stay in touch because there's so many
people that have chimed in, and even just recently, even today, there will always be the Graphene OS folks that are just coming in. Some of them copy paste the same talking points to trash the company and this and that. But they're copy pasting. But someone just like, oh yeah, graphene is a more secure and cheaper option. Well, cheaper because you don't have to pay for it, but you have to use it on a Pixel device. And we all know what's happening right now in a situation with Google cutting off access to basically the code. So what then happens? And that Calyx OS has paused for 6 months. Their images are frozen, so we don't know what the heck's really going to happen. Their founder is gone. The developer left for other places. So what's going to happen to the project? Well, what's going to happen in those 6 months? I don't know. And I know that Rob Braxman reached out to them and say, hey, maybe we could do something together. First off, they ignored him at the onset, and this might have been why, honestly, because of what's happening. But a smarter move would be Calyx OS. Like, dude, we can find refuge with Rob Braxman, who's used Calyx OS and sold it on the Google devices on his own store. So there's a familiarity there. They could work together, and there's a willingness to work together, at least from Rob Braxman's side. So will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. Now, with respect to Graphene OS, Unplugged tried to work with them first, and Graphene OS told them to go pound sand, and then ended up slandering and libeling them throughout social media. Yes, you did, Graphene OS, because I don't know what the heck's up with you guys from whoever runs the social media and all that, because you guys did the same to Rob Braxman. Anybody that tries to be in the space to try to work with you or help you, it's just for some reason, if they have one thought or opinion that seems to be to the right of what you might think, they're somehow the enemy. It's ridiculous. You treat them like scum. Not a good look, Graphene OS. Not a good look. So here, I like what they've done in case of Unplugged. People told me, do not get associated with this company. These guys earn my trust, and I'm putting look. I'm live streaming out here. I'm not planning on taking the stream down, and I had to hold them accountable. Okay, some people want access to companies because they want a kickback. I never got one. I was offered an affiliate thing last year. And I said no because I was reviewing the device. I didn't want that to interfere. And believe me, there were a 250,000 people alone checking out one video on one platform. You know how many phones I probably could have sold by saying, if you use the code whatever at unplugged.com, save this much on the phone. I could have easily done that. I do not have sponsors. I do not have ad deals with anybody. I have affiliates that I pick and choose to work with products that I have used before. And if I build a better relationship with them, all the better. Unplugged was a relationship that I have built with them, and they had the willingness to ask me for feedback. It's a strange thing when you have a company that has grown to respect your opinion out there, when originally it's like, why would we be on his show? Why on Andres' show? He's not one of the big YouTubers. He doesn't have the massive following that the others do. But I was the only guy talking tech that was giving them a fair shake. Eric Prince was on talking about this device. That's how I got the attention to it, because this better not be another grifting thing that a lot of people said that it was. And now, 1 year later, look at where they are now. The first year, like I said, with the Unplugged phone and my review, and I said, this is really a testing phase. It's both for the company, because we got to see if they keep their word about what they intended to do, what they did, by the way. It's a very rare thing that happens. They kept their promises. And also, to hold them accountable, they made changes based on feedback from me, feedback from you that you allow me to convey to them. They trust me to bring the hard questions. They told me as much. It's like, you hold us accountable. And I have. That's why it was a little strange when I had sent them some questions, and I resent it and they got it the second time. But I told them, look, we can't answer some of that stuff right now. That was the tip-off that something big was coming. I just didn't know it was going to drop today. I was expecting it sometime September, because mid-September was kind of like the target date in my mind. And I had enough to go on to make these conclusions. So then now that this is all out there, I can definitely say they've been doing everything right. And people are still not going to Some people are not going to like them for personal reasons or personnel reasons and things like that. But to me, they're a company that I champion. I told them, like, guys, we don't have BlackBerry anymore. I want to see you guys succeed where these guys didn't. And I sent to Iran. I told them, dude, let me send you screenshots of this application that you guys haven't seen it yet. This was on BlackBerry specific devices powered by Android, a privacy shade and a redacting thing. It's like, this is something that I can totally see you guys implementing in some way or another, because it doesn't exist on any other platform, and it's right up your alley. Because until we see BlackBerry come back and go to bringbackblackberry.com for the. If you haven't signed the petition, go to bringbackblackberry.com. Let's get as many signatures as possible so BlackBerry can see it, and hopefully Crackberry Kevin with Clicks Technology is able to do something where we might be able to see the glorious keyboard QWERTY powered devices done right, like maybe a Priv 2 without the software, the hardware issues. But still, back to the Unplugged thing. And I have a thing we're going to see here, because they relaunched their entire website this morning. Okay. And I was just on it yesterday because I was taking screenshots and this and that, just to make sure. If you follow me on the socials, you would have seen me talking about this. I even posted, look, they got a new logo, just in line with the very thing that I brought up. In case you didn't see it, I was highlighting this. It's like this app, this entire folder is the Unplugged suite of apps. I put them all together. And then an update was pushed through for the Unplugged support app. And then when it updated, I saw this orange icon. I'm like, an orange icon? Why would you make it stand out from the rest of it? And then the social media updates with the new avatar, and it's the new UP logo, which I thought, that's awesome. I love the color. It's vibrant. And you guys are rebranding. So you are, not only you're relaunching, you are rebranding. So let's take a look together at the new website, because it's entirely streamlined. It's a lot cleaner. I can see the influence of design going on here. And we're gonna look at this together. Okay, that is the new look of the phone. This is, did they say they made some tweaks? I would say they refined a few things, but until I see the entire spec sheet, I'm not entirely sure it's all new specs. Was this 108 megapixel? I don't remember. I gotta look at my stats. I don't have them in front of me. Oh, actually, I might. These guys sent it to me. Let me pull up the original ones on my other screen here. I have like 4 screens, so just give me a moment, folks. And by the way, I did message the team. I congratulated them after Iran tipped me off about what their announcement was going to be this morning, and I got to see it. And like, great. You guys are always welcome on, So there's questions that need answering. Either way, I'm going to send them the questions that I still have. I'll tweak some of them to be updated. I know the biggest update of all has been availability. So it's awesome to see that you'll be able to get this from bestbuy.com. It's just that international availability, a global rollout, has really been the question. And once you see some of the details that I've seen, for those of us on Verizon, we might feel a little left out. And that is by design on Verizon's side. It's not anything to do with the phone. It's all on Verizon, okay? I hit the wrong folder here. I have an Unplugged folder somewhere here. Yeah, there it is. Almost got it here. Sorry, a lot of data streaming. By the way, I think they're done with the yard, so good, because that was really getting annoying. Okay, there it is, full spec sheet. All right. Okay, bring this up. What was that? Hey guys, I have an emergency call. I'm gonna put myself on mute. I'll let this play for a little bit, but you might still. I'll leave the camera on so you know that I'm here. But I have an emergency call. Let me take this. And I'm back. Thank you for those of you that are still watching for your patience. Yeah, it's a bit of a family emergency. Nothing I could do about it right now. So I told them maybe tomorrow morning. So, but yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. And this is what you were probably looking at while I was on the phone. So, if for those of you still watching, that goes out to you for LinkedIn, YouTube, Rumble. I think I'm still on Twitch, D Live X. I really appreciate you all, and those of you that were on locals, you probably can't see this anymore. But anyway, so yeah, this is the new look at the Unplugged phone, which is scheduled to fulfill shipments by mid-September. That's the whole new layout of the dashboard. The I love the emphasis that they're making on the design tweaks. They decided to go stealth mode on this, which is brilliant. You can do a black slab, okay, and it's gonna look plain. Based on what I'm seeing here on these renders, it looks really good. Like it's a black done right. And I just confirmed because I was going off my memory, and it's been like a year since I did the actual review. So the original, I pulled up the original specs, and we're going to compare it to see what they might show here. So privacy, you can see. And there's the study about the firewall. That's the firewall that we just went through. You look at the layout. There's a lot of Apple Health inspired looks here, so not a bad thing. That's what I keep saying. Not a bad thing. Leave no trace. 24-hour, 7 days a week background VPN protection. Battery disconnect. That's my favorite part, by the way, because how do you keep a phone as slick without being a removable battery, more moving parts? And I prefer to replace the battery, but that's another way. Just disconnect the battery and ta-da! App Center is now the new store. So for those of you that got used to just browsing the store, I do not think that's a thing anymore. So let's see. Let me hit Explore, unless it's a whole new experience too. Ah, yes, you can. So independent apps your way. So this is a thing. You can see all the apps that are available by clicking here, and we'll check it in a bit. Brave browser is the standard. Battery disconnect, hardware comparison. Oh, here we go. I like this. Let's look at this. Okay, so we have the Apple 16 Pro. These guys are comparing it to like top-notch devices here. So this is the 16 Pro, not the Pro Max, which is good. The Samsung S24, I think they meant to put S25, that's the one they're comparing it to, but let's just use these numbers, yeah? Because the latest one's the S25. So the 16 Pro has a 3582 milliamp hour battery. Unplugged phone has a 4300 hour milliamp battery. The Galaxy S24 has a 4000. Is that the original size battery? Let me see. Was it 4300? Might be the same. So I'm browsing through the original specs, and it's pages and pages of specs. Let me see. Yeah, still the same one, 4300. Screen size, iPhone 16 Pro is a 6.3. The Unplugged phone 6.67, and the S24 is 6.2. Now the camera modules. This is a big deal. Computational photography and the tweaking of the cameras really is what makes the big difference with the final product, by the way. But the modules on this is where I'm a little confused. It says it's a front-facing camera of 32 megapixels for the selfie, but if I'm not mistaken, we just read on the news briefing that the front is a 13 megapixel. Okay, so now's the news briefing. Here it is, 13 megapixel front-facing camera for selfies. So either there's a typo on the page here, or there's something's conflicting. Let me see what the original one was. I'll pull it up right now. I might have missed the front-facing camera. By the way, the screen is supposed to be a 90 megahertz refresh rate for the unplugged phone. But where the heck are they? I just saw the cameras. That's video recording. Sensor. Number of pixels. This is the rear main camera. Rear sub camera. Front facing camera. Okay, so the original the original specs of the device, the front facing camera was the 32 megapixel. So this looks to be the original specs, and they're comparing it to what's available as a competition. We do have the new iPhone 17 lineup due to be announced like in the next couple of months. Not to mention the Pixels. But in the case of the Samsungs, they did launch the S25 earlier this year. But these are still really good comparisons to make. I just think that maybe it was a either there's probably an error on the news update about the front camera, because this one's supposed to be 32 megapixels, and they said it was 13. So not a big deal. It's better. It would have been worse if they said it was 32, but it was really 13. And see all specs. Oh, can we? Oh, look at this. Okay, I like this. AMOLED, Super AMOLED, AMOLED, custom side button, expandable to 1 terabyte memory. They're both nano SIMs and eSIMs. Actually, I don't know if the Apple 16 Pro is nano SIM. I think it's all eSIM now. And the Unplugged does allow for the SD card expansion. The other ones don't. You have to buy them in buckets of data tiers. Front-facing camera, they're saying it right here, 32 megapixels on the Unplugged phone. USB Type-C, at least it's USB Type-C, but it is a slower transfer rate and write speeds compared to USB Type-3. And the S1, the Samsung is the faster one at 3.2. Now, wired charging is faster on the Unplugged phone at 33 watts, whereas the iPhone is 25 watts, and so the Samsung. Wireless charging seems to be the same across the board at 15 watts. Bigger battery on Unplugged, and I can tell you that the battery does last longer. Look at this! We have an official IP rating. We have an IP53 rating on the Unplugged phone versus IP68 on the other ones. Look, let's see what that means in technical specs. IP53 rating. It's about time. That means they went through the work to try to get it. That's awesome. So what does that mean? Okay, IP53 rating indicates the device has limited protection against dust and is protected against water spray. Specifically, the 5 and 5.3 means it's protected against harmful dust ingress, though not completely sealed against it. The 3 means it's protected against water spray at an angle of up to 60 degrees from vertical. This means it could withstand light rain or water spray, but not submersion or powerful jets of water. Okay, that's awesome. I love seeing this because that means they're paying attention. I said that I expected some kind of resistance to water and dust already with the phone. It just wasn't rated yet. And now they're making that officially official. So I love that. And I think the reason this one might not have a 6 for the dust has to do primarily with the battery kill switch, the battery disconnect switch. That has to be the case. A lot of it. Okay, so no face recognition, doesn't matter. The other ones do. It has 2 speakers. Yes, that's true. So I love this spec breakdown. This is great. Good job, yo. You guys really did it. So I've been wanting to see this. It's great. So when it comes to the displays, I've already talked about a lot of the specs. So see here, these specs breakdown are the S25. So that's why I think there was a typo on the this here, because they put S24. I think they meant to put S25, but trust me, it's pretty much the same phone. And these specs are correct for the Unplugged phone because this is exactly what they had before. Just that the news clipping said otherwise with respect to the front-facing camera. Not that big of a deal. I think the camera that they have here is even better. And now let's see. I think we went through this already, right? Okay. Time away. Yeah, time away. That's the good stuff. So this is the breakdown of the, oops, sorry. let's go back here. The breakdown of what the dashboard stuff means and stuff that you can do. Emergency reset is no longer called the self-destruct. The lost mode, the fingerprint, the shortcuts, you can remap them. It's all in the what is currently called the privacy center. So that means the next big software update, which explains why there's nothing in the beta right now, at least that was pushed out, that is coming. Okay, so this is the phone. Let's see what else is on the home page. The phone built to serve you. I mean, just take a look at what's the sleek black looks more sophisticated, but what I do not see is the logo. And I think that's on, of course, that's by design. But let's take a look at the pictures for real here, okay? So this is, how does it look for you guys? You guys can see it? All right, here we go. All right, let me also close this up over here. So what I meant about the Unplugged phone, this isn't an Unplugged phone 2. If anything, this is a refined version of Unplugged phone 1. So think of the time when Apple would do they release a number and in the following year they released an S version of that phone. This is kind of what I feel here that this is. So this is the back of the device. No logo markings on it whatsoever. And they decided to make this as sleek as possible. It looks like a matte finish here. This one was more of a sleek finish. This looks like a matte finish. I could be wrong, but if you're seeing what I'm seeing, cancel. Let's try to do that. Okay, so there we go. Let me get closer. This is the camera setup. That is pretty much the same camera setup that I have because that's the same thing, but I think they refined it. I can right here they used to have the megapixel count, so it's not there anymore. But everything else is as it should be. The look is very different. I'd say this one looks a lot more refined than the current iteration or the previous iteration of the phone. And from the angles, it just the matte black, and it looks like the side railings are also black. Where before they were kind of like a fog, like a dark fog color. I think that's pretty neat. Let's see. This is the other side. I like the lock screen. I think it's classy. So this stands out more. They actually replaced the way the no, it's the same. It's the same. Okay, I'm not gonna disconnect mine right now because the phone's on. It was gonna mess up my SD card. You have to eject the card first before you do this. So yeah, so it's still the same function and features, but they're really emphasizing the look of the cameras. Yeah, they do look. It does look more refined on the new one. I mean, it has to, right? And they're keeping the same price, so that is a good thing. There was a. Let me find that text. I need to see the text for the improved experience. Let's see. But I'm wrapping it up here on the Unplugged stuff. I'm excited to see this because if a company, all you hear is about layoffs, right? A lot of layoffs in the tech space. If you go to LinkedIn, all I would find is Unplugged is hiring. If these guys were not going to make it this far, we wouldn't have heard about them anymore, and I would have told you. But if anything, they've been pushing out and delivering on their promises. And now here we are with what looks to be a complete redesigned look and feel, but also the out-of-the-box experience that many of us were hoping to have. Okay, so I couldn't find it, but it's okay. And I'll go here. Let me hit the buy function. Let me see if they have any other accessories that they posted. No, it's just the phone. Choose Unplugged phone, a complete hardware and software system that has been purpose-built for full user control, privacy, and digital freedom. With device level protections, customers are safeguarded at every digital touch point. Ditch the trackers, profiling, and censorship. This is a no-compromise alternative with a major upgrade to user interface and user experience. And Unplugged's operating system for fall 2025. Unplugged phone serves up your favorite apps with efficient, smooth performance. The powerful, rare 3 camera optics package captures vivid images in high res, wide and macro formats with a host of software settings to achieve the right focal length, light, and color. Unique to Unplugged, see real-time security with Unplugged's firewall, experience the new privacy layer. What is that? Unplugged Cloud, um, hardware controls, App Hub, and an OS level VPN, and so much more. Free shipping in the United States. Free shipping on orders of $50 or more. And this is in the United States. So highlights, we already went through these. They still have the same accessories as before. I don't see anything brand new. Here we go. So these are the official, the compatible carriers. So they have an entire list, but these are the ones that they highlight. T-Mobile, AT&T, Patriot Mobile, POND Mobile, Cricket Wireless, is it Pond Mobile? I never heard of them. Mint Mobile, Pure Talk, US Mobile, Ting, Metro by T-Mobile. And then we see all of them. We will not see Verizon, unfortunately. But these are the ones on the AT&T networks, and these are the MVNOs on T-Mobile's network. That's why they would work. If it works on one and the other, sure. The ecosystem of supported carriers frequently changes with new entrants, mergers, and even carriers going out of business. If you think a carrier is missing, which should be on this list, or if one of the carriers above no longer provides services, please reach out to Unplugged Customer Service and let us know. Yes, Verizon is missing, but it's not for the lack of trying. Verizon is kind of like the mafia. They require a very expensive certification process, and there's no guarantee you're going to get in. And when you're asking that of an upstart company, you're asking for a lot. And when I mean it's not cheap, I mean it's not cheap. So I was aware of that. That's why when I tested it and it worked on Verizon, it worked for a while. So either it was able to work and then it stopped, or Verizon saw that it worked and decided to block it. So I don't know, but I can tell you is that it's not on their whitelist on Verizon, but it did work before. Now, if I was able to just access data and text and be able to route my calls over the internet only instead of using the cell towers, I might still be able to make phone calls with Verizon. But because I'll be testing the Brax3 device, I'm going to be testing it on Mint Mobile. I will be doing so for the latest software update that was pushed out for Unplugged. And for those of you that have asked, I will, let me just put it this way. I'm going to wrap this up because I need to talk about, it's almost lunch too. I need to talk about what's their faces, the Pixel. Let me get it up. Okay, that one's coming up. So I was going to test the Unplugged phone and pit it head to head against the Brax3 device. And I'm still going to do that. Technically, it's the same hardware specs on the phone. It's just that whatever could have been refined through software is being refined. And when you see what I'm going to cover, it will no longer be applicable by the time that phone starts shipping. So I'm assuming they're prioritizing the software interface as much as possible, because if they start shipping by mid-September, fulfillments will probably be in the next week after that. So their goal to ship out the big update would be, it would be September. Fall 2025, though, is a very long stretch. It could be anywhere from then to early December. And they pushed out the major update, which is Android 14. That's the one where Verizon stopped working around the same time. It was like right before winter 2024. So if I were to pit it, these guys have been moving a lot faster than they given themselves credit for. But I wouldn't be surprised if the new shipments will have out of the box the old software, not the new look, and the new look will be promised for later. I do hope that it's available, and I'm assuming it's going to be trickling down to those of us that have the first generation product. So it'll be interesting to see. I like to see that, and yeah, it's actually really exciting to see it. So again, this is not an Unplugged phone 2, it's the reimagined Unplugged phone 1. And hold on, let me just make sure I'm not missing any comments. Hold on, we got one from YouTube. So let me put this one up here. Samuel Pops says, so I pre-order. Am I getting the updated Unplugged or an older Unplugged phone? So I just literally mentioned it that this is the difference. If you pre-order, this is the one you're supposed to be getting. Okay, that as far as I understand, this is the one you're supposed to be getting. Based on everything that I've seen, they depleted the stock of the original. So the only one that they're intending to ship is this new look one, which is all black. So this old version is not going to be that. I'm entirely expecting new packaging. So I'm expecting something that like more eye popping, where it's going to be. Whereas the first one was more of an incognito theme, trying to be like a stealthy and a little mysterious, but also with that vibe came something a little with the color palette, maybe a little depressing. Some people find it depressing. I happen to like it, but it's not for everybody. People are more used to vibrant colors. That's why the new blue color for the Samsung Fold or the new Samsungs, that's like the hero color because like finally some color. People want to see color. So this whole orange logo thing, it's popping. It's out there. I love it because it's in your face and it's this whole new look and feel of the software, which again screams iPhone. It's going to be. I think the packaging is going to be like an orange box. I mean, it has to be some kind, right? It could be a white box with orange touches on it, or it could be an orange box with white touches on it. It'll be interesting to see. I did reach out to the execs over at Unplugged. I would like to meet the new guy. I was speaking to the former CEO about this. No, I didn't. Not about this, but we're just catching up on personal stuff. And then like this happened. So I'm like, wow, this is really cool to see. So it's again, I'm excited. This is like right on the heels of trying to beat Google because next week they got their big announcement for the new phones, and people like to buy the latest Pixels and de-Google them, and you will not be able to do that this time. So if you're thinking ahead to I'm going to install Graphene OS, Andres, because I'd rather have the latest in hardware from Google, good luck, because odds are that's done, at least for the time being. And yes, that would be sweet. Absolutely. Again, you guys have made me your voice. I'm honored to have become your voice in this. I've been able to establish also friendly connections with the team over at Lunar Technologies, which is the ones that were behind Brax Technologies for the Brax3 device. I'm now officially part of the community. Like I've been there, but I haven't been active. So I'm trying to be a little more involved. It's just that time, my goodness, time. Just before I even went live, it's just a ridiculous announcement again from LA, because the podcast that I do is business and tech. Okay, and I guess I'll close this off because it's very distracting. Let's go back to solo. I do business and tech, and I see your comment here, and I'll get to it. For business, I deal in real estate, property management, and construction. So if you look back at my older videos of this year, you'll see me covering a lot of the fires and insurance and all that stuff because, well, that's my community. And Angelino, I hate to see what happened. Follow Spencer Pratt. I'm glad he has a huge audience and he's holding Gavin Newsom's feet to the fire. A lot of people think it's about politics. It's not. It's about the gross mismanagement of the state. It's unreasonable to have one of the largest economies in the world, and it's so badly mismanaged and run. It's a miracle we're still an economy like this. And what's transpired and what the powers that be want to take away from the private property owners is nothing short of Marxist. So that's why I talk about that stuff in business. But I love tech, and I started as covering tech, and the whole thing was no one gave BlackBerry a fair shot. That's why I was sick of the big tech tubers not understanding what this was all about. So I chimed in, and then my channel took off. Thank you for those of you that did. And then came the major rebrand for myself about 6 years ago to join everything together, because I rely on technology to help me get things done. But in my ever reliance in technology, and because of me getting into certain segments and topics that are, I hate to say politically charged, but let's just say the Benghazi thing. People, when they hear me talk about Benghazi, they think, oh, Andres is going to make it about the Clintons. So then they get shocked when I don't, because it's not about that. So people on the right get upset because I don't make it about the Clintons. And I haven't had favor on people that just will not see beyond their political biases, okay? So that in large part, and because the high profile individuals I had on my show has led to so many attempts at data intrusion. I have had people try to hack companies of mine. One of them was successful, but because of a hacker pal, was able to hack them back and get it back. So I've needed to take precautions too some years ago. So to me, BlackBerry was my security blanket because I always carry 2 devices. I've been carrying 2 devices for about 17 years now. I hate that, but I've had to. And my businesses have only grown since. And I won't be able to get to the Google stuff. So sorry, probably not be able to talk about Google, but I'll give you some thoughts. Anyway, and in having grown, I had to learn more about taking control of my privacy, of my data. I left Facebook years ago. And I did try to come back to Facebook. I think it was last year. I got suspended within 15 minutes. But then I challenged it and they actually restored my account. But then I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to be here. So before I could deactivate it, and then I didn't upload any context, it was a whole new email and this and that. It was like, hey, these are people you might know. Like, duh, they have facial recognition. They introduced facial recognition like around 15 or so years ago. So that wasn't a surprise. It just only gotten better. So it's all to say that I always wanted a privacy focused something. And I have the Google devices before. I've taken phones apart. So I was not a tech novice. I had some experience with these things. Some minimal coding. One of the very early projects that I was involved in, actually, one of the first big ones that I was ever involved in was beta testing WhatsApp for BlackBerry. Way back when. Whew, man, that was a long time ago. So for those of you that enjoy WhatsApp now, you're welcome. And for those of you that don't, I'm sorry. Because I didn't know that Facebook was going to buy them. So it's been a long journey since. And all this that I do really here for all you guys, this is a hobby. It really is a hobby. It doesn't pay. People are like, hey, how much money do you make doing this? Unless you have a massive audience and you're allowed to be monetized by YouTube and YouTube is pushing your stuff or you go viral, you might get a payout. But otherwise, just to have the services to run all this stuff, you're in the red most of the time. And when you get advertising opportunities, but people just want you to shill for them instead of actually being honest about it, I'm sorry, I'm not after that. So, hey, I had to burn bridges too. Political stuff and all that. Like, hey, I'm not into all that. I've been invited to CPAC. I've been invited to AmFest. And I said, I just want no part of it. So with all that, when I saw Unplugged, skepticism, and like, I don't know if I could trust this. And all I saw was a bunch of right-wing podcasts that were pushing this. And the first time I really did pay attention to it was when James O'Keefe, having recently relaunched O'Keefe Media Group, and I volunteered to. He didn't even know I was doing this for him. I was helping him promote his stuff on other platforms after he was ousted from Project Veritas. So it was just him at the time, and there was no kickback or anything. Like, bro, I just respect what you do. So I've been doing this for you without even asking. I hope that's okay. He's like, dude, no, man, that's awesome. So I did that. So when he started doing like his own kind of like a show on X Spaces, and one of the first ads he did was for Unplugged. I'm like, I don't even remember the report he was reporting on. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's like, wait, this better not be another grift against the so-called patriots. So I took it upon myself to just pause everything that I was doing. I fired up the camera, pull up the webpage, and you saw my live reaction. It just so happened at the time, I was still a Rumble small creator partner. And that helped get me eyeballs on Rumble. And after people were starting to see the ads about Unplugged, like on Patrick Bet-David, because Eric Prince was there, or Sean Ryan, that was the bigger one, and then James O'Keefe. So people started searching for Unplugged, And I was the only one talking about it at the time. There was a big account that talked about it, but all he did was trash it before it even materialized. So he was the one that had the most views, like 500,000 views, okay, on his video. But all of it was just trash talking because who was behind the project. There was nothing about the phone in it. So I was just judging the phone, not the people behind it. I'm like, yeah, there's political baggage perhaps, but I care about the phone, okay? Because if you're going to judge someone for their political baggage, why don't you do the same for those behind big tech that always work against your interests and are making bank off you? So I always thought that was an unfair shake. So when I saw this whole thing about Unplugged, and I was just fired up, I wanted to judge the phone on its own. And I was not liking what I was seeing because there wasn't really much to see. So I'm like, what the flip is this? And to my major surprise, it was Eric Prince that saw the video. And when I reached out to the company, they were already aware of my video. And it was the CEO. I reached out to the support team, and it was the CEO who messaged me back. And when he messaged me back at the time with Ryan Patterson, he said, hey, Eric Prince saw your video. And he made us all watch your video. Like, really? Yeah, I said everyone from the executives down to the lower level employees, we all had to sit down and watch your video. And you did a very honest brokered assessment of our product. And I ended up interviewing him. And he says it towards the end of the interview that they had to go back to square one with a lot of their ideas, designs, and especially the website. They pulled their website and made a whole new one in response to my feedback on that video. And then the execs kept watching my videos, including the reviews, and even the Q&A stuff that I was reading from you guys, because they were getting so much excellent feedback of what they needed to do. Constructive criticism and all that stuff. The good and the bad, they took it the same. Even when Graphene OS came at them, Unplugged did not respond in kind. They did not like go after them or just throw shade at them. They just said, hey, we just wanted to work with you, man. That was it. And then let bygones be bygones, and they moved on. I'm sure there were hurt feelings there, but they took the high ground and moved on. And they did. And honestly, they're better for it. So there was a lot that I got to know about them and stuff. That's why people that kept warning me, like, no, don't this and that. They're not going to keep their promises. And I even told the guys over at Unplugged, look, you guys can do everything right. You can drop every single source code you can tomorrow, and they still won't like you just because of who you guys are and who you might be associated with. That's it. And so far I've been proven right. So I kept telling them, look, I'm going to be honest about everything that I cover because I respect honesty, and I hope that you guys can respect that too, because I will not give you guys I won't give you editorial input into any of my content regarding your company or your phone. And they said, that's fair enough with us. I'm like, good. I like that. So every time they saw anything I put out there, you guys saw along with them. They didn't get a chance to see it ahead of time. They had no input on it whatsoever. And everything that they said they were going to do, they've done. What else can I ask from them? So it's been amazing to see them come all this way, because I was telling them, look, I'm cheering you guys on. So I'm going to tell you every single thing that you guys are doing wrong and tell you to correct it. If I see it, I tell them, no, you guys got to do this or do that. I'll let you know, because you guys are bringing something to a market that is desperately needed, because we need something like this in the market, something OEM. And now look, we have another option, a Brax3 device that's more affordable, because everybody says, I don't know, I can't pay $1,000 for a phone like that. That's so expensive and I can't finance it. You can finance it at bestbuy.com. But now you have an option of Brax3, which I'm looking forward to putting through its paces, because it's more or less the same experience when it comes to being de-Googled. Now, of course, there'll be some disagreements about how much privacy control or whatever is truly these have. Is one or better than the other, and kind of things like you guys can make up your mind about that. What's this right here? Sam Pop. If the age verifications laws come into place, will having the Unplugged phone be forced to obey the age verifications for internet searches? That's an interesting question, and one that I might have to do. I'll compile this list and send it to Unplugged. Now, if they come on my show again, I expect you to. But if they come on my show again, this will be one of the questions that I bring up. Okay, because I think there are things that some companies just cannot avoid if they're going to be in e-commerce at a global scale. They have to comply. Like, for example, Apple was forced to remove their Lightning port and put in a USB Type-C port because the European Union, we're not European here in the United States, we're Americans, but the entire production became USB Type-C. But you know what the original plan was for Apple? They said, oh, you don't want the Lightning cable? It's okay. We were going to go portless anyway. So we just take the ports off entirely. Everything will be wireless. So it's okay. And European Union said, no, you are going to put a USB Type-C because not everybody is going to be working that way. Not everybody has a wireless charger. That's how we got a USB Type-C. So the European Union did something right. I just don't like that it requires government intrusion like that to make it happen. But with a lot of stuff coming from the European Union, invasive controls over internet privacy and all that, it's going to be interesting. So this, I know that there's some stuff also happening in the States. I just don't know if they can actually enforce that in the States. But we'll see. That's a really good question. We shall see. Because I know some people have those concerns. But in the United States, I know it's every state on its own. Because there were some age verifications requirements for on certain adult websites. So they left certain states. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just know that this is a topic that I know is really hot for people, and that would be interesting to see how it plays out, especially with a so-called privacy phone, where you're not being tracked or anything of the sort. But anyway, you know what? Let me just throw in my final thoughts on to close out with this, and I went a little bit over time, but I'll do this part. Thank you for chiming in, Samuel Pop. I appreciate it. I know there's a Daniel Ray. You might be popping up after this, maybe on YouTube. So hopefully you like this update. Maybe AI will break this down into chapters too. But here, let's do this now. Let me bring this to the fold. My thoughts on, really quick, on the Pixel 10. Google is not best known for their hardware. I am not interested or fascinated by their foldables. I am more fascinated by what what's their faces Samsung was finally able to achieve for the US market. When it comes to the Pixel devices, what you're really looking at is the software experience, because hardware has not been the forte for Google. And based on a lot of the leaks and rumors and official posts by them too, there really isn't much coming different from the Pixel 9 lineup than maybe a better chipset. Maybe. Of course, we won't know until we see it. The question is, would it be worth it? It looks the same as last year's phone. The services on this phone are going to translate down to the Pixel 9 lineup. So what's the point? The Pixel 9 lineup was more refined, a better experience than the previous ones before that. And look, I love the Pixel 9 hardware. It's a beautiful piece to look at and feel. It's a hefty piece. It's the software. Really, how much AI can I use out of it? That's what it comes down to. Pick your preferences. Okay. Samsung versus Apple versus Google. Really, that's what it comes down to. But the best camera, like Mr. Mobile says, is the one in your pocket. And with this one, so far, everything that I've seen, unless there's some crazy software exclusive, I do not see this being the must-have device. I think Google's being very, very risky with this one. They have not been the best at hardware. They've been the best at software updates, but they haven't been the best at hardware. There's always some kind of hardware problem with their devices, so the quality control issues never went away. And they're asking people to upgrade to basically what looks the same as last year's model. So are they going to be the same colors? If that's the case, this might not be a hit. It might not be. The only way to sell this one would be to stop selling the 9, at least the 9 Pros and all that. So I don't, well, I'm looking forward to see what they have up their sleeve. They teased a lot already. And I'm not sure they really left much for the imagination with the hardware. It's like, what else is left? You're just gonna tell me what new color it might be available in, and maybe how much better the cameras with your AI thing is better. Because it's gonna be AI camera, AI camera. That's all it's gonna be. Um, like how much better Gemini integrated into this, but it's gonna be updated for the previous generation models too. So that's why I don't think there's as much excitement for the new Pixels, especially with the code being closed off for those of us that like to de-Google these pixels and flash our own privacy-focused OS. The best we'll probably get would be Android 15 official, and running it on a Pixel 9 Pro. That'll be like the latest that you can get. So keep following to see what happens in the privacy OS space. That's why we need hardware manufacturers to build their own, and some are trying, some are succeeding, where others have failed, honestly. And instead of championing them on, those that are legitimate, everybody tries to take them down. So I hate seeing that. Lastly, brainblackblackberry.com, because we're talking about that topic. No. I just saw your comment. So this is Rico for you. All right, I'm going to put this up here. It says, Dan, before all these conclusions regarding Pixel 10, get all your facts straight. It's called speculation. The facts are not going to come out until they do their launch. Okay? So once they do their launch, then I can make the conclusions. What I don't have are the hopes, because of what I have seen based on the leaks that they've done, Google, and what also have been done by the Android code. Because I, for one, had never really cared about the latest version of software unless they're going to do some radical redesign. My favorite Pixel was the Pixel 2. That was it was a squeezable device on the side. That was one that was built by HTC. I think the last HTC built Pixel was the Pixel 4, but it was just so awkward because they did that gimmicky, you can air motion your hand so you can swipe and do this and whatever. Never really took off, but because of those sensors, it had an awkward chin on that phone. But I liked the back. It was nice. It was just the Pixel 4 and the 4 XL. The Pixel 4 was built by HTC. The Pixel 4 XL, which was known as the Panda phone, was built by LG. The LG one had a screen issues. It had Bluetooth issues. The 4 didn't. When it comes to or was it the Pixel 2? One of those two. I'm confusing them now. But the point is that the Pixel 2 was the one that I went for because it had like this glass top and a metal bottom. So you couldn't do wireless charging. But the back side had a fingerprint scanner that then you can actually map to bring down your notification shade. So some of those were hardware specific that were gone in next iterations that got rid of some of that hardware. So when it comes to how some felt that the lineup had plateaued for Pixel, I think it was Pixel 6 and 7, 8, they're like, hey, you guys need a radical redesign. Well, that's what Google did last year. It's a beautiful. I got the hazel color because it's so beautiful and unique, and it goes in the theme of everything that I use for Google. But I fully expect the new software experience that they're going to highlight at the event to be brought down to the Pixel 9, because based on everything that even go check out Android Authority, go check out Android Central, 9 to 5 Google, and all that. All of them are feeling the same way I do. They're like, damn, you guys better be hoping that chipset is like the greatest things ever, because the Tensor chip has not been the best in terms of benchmarks versus the top dogs. So if you were always lacking behind in benchmarks, but you're pricing your phones the same as everything else out there, that becomes the big contention. Is like, okay, so basically everything else looks like it remains the same, maybe a different color here or two availability. But if you're still going to keep the same similar look, call it the Pixel 10. Yes, maybe some exclusive software features to kick it off, but it'll translate to other ones. Then what will stand out? What's going to convince people to go buy this phone if they just literally bought a Pixel 9 or a 9 Pro or a 9 Fold? Because all the so-called leaks of the Pixel 10 Fold, whatever it might be, Fold Pro, looks the same as the last year model. So with the new ones from Samsung, like just making waves everywhere because they're so thin, are people really going to want a chunker? But I know of a lot of people that would buy a Pixel not for Google, but because they wanted solid hardware so they can then just get rid of Google itself and put in their privacy OS. That part is basically gone. So now it's like you're going to get it for the Google experience, which is always meant for, right? But with the privacy space, it's difficult because Google blocked out access to that. That's why there's been such a people are like reeling about this in the privacy OS space because there's a lot of projects that are basically just stopped from big to small ones. They're kaput. So unless they control the software and the hardware, they're going to have a very hard time being able to code to the new Pixel lineup. So for now, the Pixel 9 is the last of what any privacy OS out there is going to be able to do, and they might not even be able to bring it to Android 16. So it'll be like a repackaged version of Android 15. At least that's what the Graphene OS guys have been saying over at their forums. If you follow them on X or on Blue Sky or just go to the GitHub, you'll be able to see everything they've been saying. All right. So I understand the first Android build with MagSafe. That becomes a question: is that enough to upgrade a phone, or you could just get a so-called MagSafe case? That really is what it's going to boil down to, because people can buy a so-called MagSafe case. So when you're able to find workarounds to supposed exclusive hardware, there isn't really an incentive to invest in the new hardware. But I like that they're finally going to be able to do that. See, this kind of goes for Apple. Apple's always the last one to the party, but when they show up, the industry moves with them. Wireless charging existed on Android maybe 10 years before Apple did it, but Apple was acting like they're the ones that invented it. But what happened? Suddenly there's wireless chargers at all the Starbucks, Q wireless chargers or whatever they were, all because the iPhone now had wireless charging. So I get it. So all of us have been waiting for the foldables. The foldable iPhone, will it be like a booklet style, like an iPad mini that can fold? We don't know, but there's a lot of rumors and rumblings that manufacturing might start next month because they want to move it up the chain. If they do it, fantastic. MagSafe was something that was pretty much an Apple thing that Apple was able to bring over to now their iPhones, because there were Mac computers that had a MagSafe charger that would connect wired into magnetically the computers. So if anybody walked by and kicked your cable, they didn't take your computer with them. It would just disconnect safely. Your computer is fine. That's how it started way back when. So now forward to the phones, MagSafe chargers, which was like, hey, that's actually easier when it comes to wireless charging. Duh. So naturally, we're waiting to see, well, when will the industry, like other Android manufacturers, do the same? So that's great to see them do it, but others have found like, well, but I don't want to buy the new phone. That's why there's MagSafe cases. So case in point, no pun intended. Now I'll just do this and bring myself up. So I have a case for the Fold 7. It's called a sub case, I think. It's like an $80 case. It's not really growing on me, so I don't know if I'm going to keep it. But that one has the MagSafe on the back. And this phone, because of how protruding the camera module is, has made it very difficult for me to plop on the wireless chargers that I have from Samsung. So I don't have it with me to show you here, but I'm going to do a video on it. There is, I think you can see it too at Samsung Shop. It was sold out on Amazon. Samsung wireless charger MagSafe. There was even some so-called MagSafe cases that were being brought out by Samsung themselves, or at least they were spigging. They sold out. But here's a charger that I'm referring to, and there are people that are complaining about it a lot. So this is like a tree, a wireless charger for Samsung, and this is technically built for Samsung, so it's not built by Samsung. So when I got the packaging, I'm like, this doesn't look like Samsung packaging. So I haven't unboxed it yet because I wanted to unbox it for video, and I wanted to set it up and address people's concerns, because everybody's trashing this thing. When you go to Amazon, Best Buy, or Samsung.com, everybody that had this thing hates it. So that's because there's some tweaks you have to make. But how do you get it to do this? How do you get a phone to elevate if you don't have supposed MagSafe built in? You need a case. See? So that's why it's good that we have like Pixel that's going to do that. I look forward to them doing that, but it's going to be, what about our phones? It's going to be a case solution. That doesn't mean I'm not excited about what Google's going to do. There's always been a software thing. I've never been excited about their hardware. I want to see their software because I'm going to get it on my Pixel 9. I'm just always curious to see. Like, I got the Pixel Fold because I wanted to see and use foldable software before, because it wasn't available anywhere else. So, yeah. But anyway, I think I covered a lot here, dude. Thank you so much for those of you that participated in the chat. So Rico, for you, thank you so much. I'm not trashing Pixel. I'm not excited about it. This is the first year I'm not excited for it. That doesn't mean they won't surprise. We're all hoping to. It's just that with also phones that have gotten so expensive, I do not know how the prices will be because of the tariffs. So we'll see how much of an impact it's going to have on the pricing. So that's why a lot of in the tech space were wondering if it's not going to look that much different, and you're really relying on a new chipset, maybe the MagSafe thing. How much more expensive is it going to be compared to last year's models? Because people might end up buying last year's models to maybe use the cases that might fit with it for the Pixel 10. Don't know, but we'll see. Again, it's all speculation because we don't have the device yet and we don't have the software yet. That's all that I did for the Unplugged phone. All of that stuff was speculation, building for months. If you haven't seen it, go back, check out my stream. It's a little long, but I spent a lot of it on Unplugged phone. Thumbs up for you, man. So if you go back and see all my stuff about Unplugged that I covered on this stream, you can go back and check out my pre. I'm not saying you would do that, but if you have the time and you have, why not? You'll see how much I have already talked about. And that was just trying to read between the lines about what Unplugged was doing and what I would do, because I'm from the business world, what I would do to address all the feedback that I've received and satisfy the customers and future customers. And we're seeing it materialize with Unplugged. So that's been awesome to see. And it's been awesome to have all of you on. And for those of you that chimed into the chats with actual chats, not spam chats over on Rumble. Rico, for you, Samuel Pop, thank you for chiming into the chat today. This was a much longer stream than I had planned. I was not planning on streaming today because I was planning on streaming Thursday. So if all goes well, you'll see the announcement post. I'm going to be streaming my setup of the Brax3, taking into account your feedback that I've seen and also from the Brax communities. I will be also activating this on Mint Mobile, and I'll see if I run into the issues that some of you have ran into as well. Just remember, these are nano SIMs. Almost everything that uses a SIM today is a nano SIM, so it shouldn't be a micro SIM or a regular SIM. If you're still using that, like, I don't know what you're using. That's a very old device. But yeah, with all that, thank you so very much for tuning into this live stream of the Segovia Show. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the know. Share this with whoever you think might benefit from all that. Anything that I do, follow me across socials, and I really mean across the socials. I'm like 16 different social media platforms because I try to be uncancelable and there's something for somebody somewhere. And on X _Segovia, if not at the Segovia. Anything and everything about me is at theundersegovia.com. Affiliate links are located down below. And yes, that's the only way you can keep the lights on in the show, because there is no money to be made off ads on this stuff. It really isn't. Unless you're selling your soul, there really isn't much to be made out here. But I appreciate you all. Support small businesses, and in some cases, they support me too. So that's the way you help me help you, kind of thing. Thank you so very much. I'll see you guys in the next one.